I'm always talking about items that you have to get, to buy, etc. But I never talk about the worst items in Blox Fruits that, in my opinion, need to be avoided. So in this video you will know the worst items in Blox Fruits, but before that, make sure to subscribe. I only have left 10,000 subscribers and I can achieve 100k only with your help. So please subscribe. I'm serious, bro, subscribe. Just right now. Let's start from the one sword that you can buy in the first sea. The name of this sword is Bisento. Yeah, you've heard of it. I know. The first skill, Windbreaker, looks like that. Nothing special, just a skill with a middle range. The second skill, Quake Sphere, is an AoE attack, which can be useful in grinding. But who will use a sword in the first sea, right? So why is this sword bad and not worth buying? So the first thing is that the sword doesn't have any stun moves, which makes it useless in PvP. If you didn't know, players are trying to use a sword which can stun or at least break the instinct of players, so this sword can't do anything of that. The second reason why I shouldn't buy Bisento is its skills. One skill of that sword, Quake Sphere, is grounded, so that means you cannot use it in the air if your opponent or NPCs below you. You can make skills of Bisento better a little bit by evolving it. You have to kill Greybeard in the Marine Fortress with a sword in your inventory, but after that skills won't break the instant or stun enemies anyway. Or I forget to say where you can buy this sword. You can do that in the Skyline section from the Master Sword Dealer, and here comes another reason to avoid that sword. 1 million belly for that sword in the first sea. Yeah, you heard me right. You have to spend 1 million belly on that sword. That's ridiculous. So imagine, you're a beginner who just reached Skylands and you want to buy a new sword here. No freaking way you'll buy it. You can spend a million to buy almost everything in the first sea. Funny. Of course, if you're done grinding, obtained everything in the game, finished Sword Sea, you can buy Bisento just for fun to play with. But if you're a boy who is just in the middle of the first sea, no, I don't recommend doing it. By the way, guys, I have created an Q&A in my Discord, so if you want to ask me anything, you can do it here. The link will be in description. Okay, since we're in the first sea, let's talk about other swords or no swords pipe. Yeah, I have this pipe. I bought it just for fun. Pretty stylish sword or pipe or whatever, but the fun is the only reason to buy it. By the way, you can buy this sword in Frozen Village from the sword dealer of the East for 100,000 belly. Completely useless for PvP if you understood already, and in grinding. You can say that every sword in the first sea is useless in PvP, but it's not. Let's take a Soul Cane sword for example. Beautiful sword for PvP. I've explained about it in one of my videos. Watch if you're interested in that. As for the pipe, the moves are looking good, not gonna lie, and the sword is interesting, but in first sea reality, pointless. For example, every skill can be easily dodged, M1 is slow, and also like a Bisento, useless in the air. But if you're gathering collection, you can buy it. It's funny to play with it a bit. Well, let's talk about fighting styles. Have you been thinking about what fighting style is the worst? In my opinion, Dark Step. You can buy this leg breaking style from the Dark Step teacher in the first, second, and third sea for 150,000 belly. Terrible fighting style. But the second version, Death Step, is pretty good. Why so? Let's dive in. So the first thing is that the fighting style is laggy as hell. All moves are working weirdly and are uncomfortable to use. For example, the first move, Flying Kick, is absolutely shit. You cannot use it in the air like the other moves, and even on the ground properly, this skill is useless. If you're using Buddha, most of the moves won't work in transformation mode, so you can't hit enemies with skills. Also, Dark Step has the lowest damage compared to other fighting styles, so in the first sea you probably will be well with it, but later you have to change it to another style. Another bad thing is overheating. The skill which can boost your damage a little bit, but the cooldown is long, so you have to wait 1 minute and 30 seconds before you can use it. Stupid. But despite my hating of the dark step, you will have to buy it anyway. Besides that, you have to collect 400 mastery on it to upgrade to death step and 300 mastery to buy superhuman, so you have to suffer a bit anyway. Alright, let's get back to the swords. In the sword C, you can get a sword called Dark Dagger. Yeah, the same sword is from One Piece, but I think this sword is not suitable for purchase unless for a collection. Why? Let's figure it out. The first problem of this sword is obtaining. It's so difficult to obtain because this sword drops from the Rip Indra boss in Sword C. If you don't understand what the problem is, here's the summoning process of this boss. First, you have to get the God's Chalice item. You have 3 ways to get it. First is from the random chest every 4 hours. Second, from praying at the grave store in Haunted Castle. As you understand, the chance is very low. And the last option, and probably the best, is killing elite pirates. You can do that quest every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and if you're lucky, you can drop this chalice from the pirate. That's how I often get it, by the way. So not so easy, right? But that's not the end. After you get the chalice, you have to get or find a player with special aura colors to be able to press 3 buttons in Castle on the Sea: Snow White, Pure Red, and Winter Sky. The easiest way to get all colors is to ask players or your friends. Otherwise, first you have to buy all those colors, and the second you have to change it every time you want to press the next button. You can buy it for fragments from the Master of Aura, who spawns randomly in a few locations, which I've shown in my video. Watch it before going to search for him. Or you can buy all colors for Roblox in the mansion, where you also have to change it after. And that's what you have to do only to summon Rip Indra. Crazy, right? But what if I tell you that this dagger has a 5% chance to drop from the boss? Still want it? Yeah, as you see, that's one of the reasons why this sword is the worst. Besides obtaining, Dark Dagger has valuable counts, which make him bad for some players. For example, skills. All moves are hard to hit because of a small hitbox. So in PvP, you have to be extremely skilled to catch an enemy. Also, with this sword, it will be hard to grind because moves are single target, no AoE attacks, but if you got this dagger excellently, you're lucky as hell, I can say. In conclusion, I can say that if you're skilled enough, obtained every sword in the game, or excellently got it, it can be a pretty good PvP sword, but there's better swords in the game, so it's your decision. Are you still here? I remind you to subscribe. Don't make me sad, okay? Subscribe. Just right now. Be a good boy. The next worst item in the game is a game pass called Fruit Notifier. If you don't know, this game pass will alert you when a fruit spawns and show you where exactly, but I don't recommend buying it, and here's why. First of all, the price. It costs unbelievably expensive, 2,700 Robux, making it the most expensive game pass in the game. But does it worth it so much money? The answer is no. The main reason is the cost. You can spend so much money on better items in the game, such as permanent fruits or double money or master game pass. If the price of the notifier was like 500 Robux, it will be worth it, but now I don't recommend you guys buy it. But you can like the video if you want a fruit notifier. Let's see how many players want it. The second reason hides in the fruit spawn event itself. Most of the fruits you will find are shit. Valuable fruit spawns super rarely. For example, I have collected like 100 fruits and only 2 times I get a decent fruit. I know it's basically random, but come on guys, 100 fruits? Yeah, this notifier will make it easier to find the fruit, but if you're expected to get kitsune, leopard or doe every time, you're mistaken. But if you have a lot of Robux and you don't know where to spend it and you already bought everything in the game, it's time to buy the notifier too. But in other cases, it's better to spend Robux on something different. By the way, I have a video with all fruit locations in every sea where you can check all locations without the notifier and get a fruit. If you're interested in that, link in description. Another questionable thing in the game is Soul Guitar Gun. Yeah, I know it looks cool with beautiful effects, but in practical way it isn't as good as it looks. First of all, it's obtaining. It's hard. It's so hard that I had to make a complete guide on how to obtain it. You can watch it if you want, because in this video I will only explain it shortly. Bend your fingers. Pray the gravestone during full moon. Kill 6 zombies simultaneously. Yeah, you probably need the Buddha for that. Solve one puzzle, speak with an NPC, solve another puzzle, solve one more puzzle, and pay one dark fragment, which you can only get from the rare boss Dark Beard, where you need to have a Feast of Darkness, which randomly drops in the second sea with a low chance, 500 bones, 250 ectoplasm, and 5,000 fragments. Sounds easy, but believe me, if you have nothing, you will spend a lot of time. If you dare to get it, please watch my guide. The next thing is its skills. Yeah, they look cool, but they're completely uncomfortable. All moves of this gun can be easily avoided and hard to hit for you. Next, the LDI blow skill is so massive that it can block the enemy's side, but yours too. Also, the M1 attack consumes your energy, so you have to pay attention to that too. No doubt this gun is cool, but I think there's better options for PvP in my opinion. You'll spend a lot of time obtaining it, but the gun doesn't worth so many difficulties. Let's talk about races. If you know, we have a lot of good races. All of them can be useful in some cases. I love them all, but let's talk about maybe less effective race than the others. The rabbit race. Honestly, that was my first race in Blox Fruits and I love it so much, but comparing it with others, the race doesn't give you so much. This race only boosts your speed, and that's it. What can I say? For traveling around seas it's good, but that's it. Nothing special. Of course you can catch some runners with that or escape the fight, but is it worth it only for that? For speed you can use, for example, the pilot helmet item, which makes you faster, or the gold brace, for example, which is much better than rabbit. Write down guys in the comments what do you think about the rabbit race. I think the rabbit race is the last race you should master in Blox Fruits. The first in my opinion are Cyborg and Ghoul.